guys, it's Zainab again, and today, and this week, we are talking about who our heroes are.
Ah, the Nerd Fighters!
So today I wanted to talk to you about two of my favourite, most recent fictional heroes. And they're both from War and Peace, and the reason why they're very recent is because I've been watching the BBC series of War and Peace, which just finished, and I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. So if you ever get a chance to watch it, I don't know how it works for people who aren't in the UK, but I'm sure you'll be able to get it at some point somehow, but I just found it to be a really beautiful story. So basically the two characters I wanted to talk about are I always got them mixed up. Andrei Bolkonsky and Pierre Bezukhov, and they're both best friends. But the reason why they're both my heroes is because they're both very different, but they both come to the same sort of conclusion, if you get what I mean. So they both start off in very different places in many ways. Like, they both face very challenging lives, but they both learn the same sort of thing as the story goes on. So the reason why Pierre's life is quite hard is because he starts off, he's got that sort of mad scientist kind of look about him. Like, he's very clever, but he doesn't really have any purpose. And the reason why he's such a hero for me is because he learns how to get past the things that are setting him back in many ways. Like, he learns how to forgive people, and he learns more that he can do with the abilities that he has. So part of the story is the fact that very early on he inherits a very large fortune, and the really awesome thing to see him do is the fact that he goes through to all of these estates that he has, and he actively tries to make the lives better for the serfs that are living in these estates and working for him. Just to give you a bit of context, the book is set in the early 19th century, and this is during the Napoleonic Wars, which is why it's called War and Peace, because it's basically shifting between, well, war and peace. But it's really interesting to see that contrast, and I think they do that really well in the series. But basically, the really interesting thing is, obviously, Pierre's learning how to deal with this new status that he's got and the new wealth that he's got, and trying to actually make something of himself. But the fact that Pierre doesn't give up on his ideals, even though he's set back, is something that I find really heroic. And I see this in Andrei as well, although Andrei's is slightly different because he basically learns more about forgiveness as well. But it's quite interesting because he's a very, very strong character in terms of the fact that he's set on his beliefs, he knows where he wants to go, and he's very much a military man when it comes to war. But the interesting thing is, both him and Pierre use war to get away from a life they don't want to live. But the really interesting thing that I really believe makes them awesome people is because war inadvertently teaches both of them about the beauty that is in the small things in life, and about how to really appreciate life. So what happens is Pierre and Andrei both get caught up in this battle against Napoleon. But what happens in the end is Pierre ends up becoming a prisoner of war, and Andrei ends up very severely injured. Now what happens is Pierre meets this man who would have probably been one of his servants perhaps, but he treats him like a brother, and Pierre himself is the kindest person you could meet. He's quite the cinnamon roll, and the really awesome thing to see is he realizes that, you know, that these serfs have really understood what it means to be happy, whilst if you look at all the aristocrats who the series sort of is surrounded around, they're very fixed on facades. And if you look at Pierre, he learns from this man about sharing and about being able to savor the small things. And there's this really touching scene where he basically shares half his potato with him and shows him that if you sprinkle a little bit of salt on top and just take it small bites at a time, you can really enjoy it. And he does that later on, which kind of shows just how much he's learned from it, and I find that really, really, you know, profound. Now for Andre, the thing that really struck me was this quote from the series. Now I'm not sure if it's actually in the book, but from the series it was absolutely phenomenal, and it goes something like this. Okay, I'm just going to read this, so bear with me. Everything's simple really, the world. The world wants us to love it, and it's not hard, it's easy. I heard this little whispering voice, singing little whispering music, and then I realized it was a fly in the room, and it wanted me to love it. And I did love it. And I saw that one can love everything. And I just found that really profound, because I feel like, especially in the world that we live in, it's really easy just to hate things. Hate is a very strong word, but it's very easy to dislike things. And I genuinely find within myself that it's really easy to feel really drained from just getting stuck at all these little things that annoy us during the day. And that's one reason why I just found it quite heroic, because obviously he's very set in, you know, not really forgiving people, being really stuck to his values, and he just lets go of all these negative feelings. And it was really inspiring, I think, because it's a really big U-turn, and I really enjoyed that about both those characters. So if you've seen War and Peace, or if you have heard about similar characters in different stories, I'd love to hear what you think. And also, what do you think? You know, how do you think you'd react to being in either of these situations? Do you think you'd be changed by these situations? And you know, do you really think that it takes such extreme situations to be able to become such a better person? So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and Sorrow will see you tomorrow.